This is Autoblog. For over 15 years, our team has covered the auto industry. You can find more of our content at Autoblog.com. But here on the Autoblog Show, each episode features our favorite videos of the hottest new cars from all over the world. This is what moves us. We're drivers, off-roaders, journalists, tech geeks, gamers, filmmakers, and adventurers. This is Autoblog. Coming up on this episode of the Autoblog Show, we have a Ford GT carving through California's canyon roads.
I'm gonna shut up and let the GT do the talking.
Followed by a first look at the Toyota Supra. But first, just outside of Vegas, we test out the new 2020 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray.
And with the Z51 package that this car just happens to have, it'll go from 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. So this is the new mid-engined C8 Corvette. It's the first time that I've been in this car so far. Kind of been taking it easy, enjoying the surprisingly comfortable nature of it. But of course, you cannot forget that lurking just right there, over your shoulder, you can see the thing, is the classic 6.2 liter V8 all-American muscle in this very kind of not very all-American mid-engine layout car. 6.2 liter V8 has 495 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. And with the Z51 package that this car just happens to have, it'll go from 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. This does have a 8-speed dual clutch automated manual transmission. It's all new for the Corvette. So note you have a water bottle here instead of a shifter. So some people are going to be cheesed about that. I kind of like the old 7-speed manual and the old C7, but this is a very good transmission. Around town, you really got kind of behaves like a regular automatic. You'd never think that it's a dual clutch. There's no herky-jerkiness or anything like that. But then it really fires off shifts very impressively, like these big chunky paddles mounted to this very not round steering wheel. Admittedly, steering wheel looks a little goofy, but it does work well in that it does maintain visibility forward and gives you some clearance here for your legs. Now, this is one of 3 seats available in this car. Personally, I think the bottom's a little pinchy. It would be nice if the bottom adjusted just as the side bolsters do. But the driving position is really fantastic. I'm 6'3". I have tons of space in this car. In fact, I could move the seat back further. Don't need to, and even if I did, you'd hit your head here against the windshield or the roof header, kind of like you did in the Acura NSX, the original one. I like that car. I like this car too, and kind of this car reminds me of that original NSX. In fact, there's a new one. How about that? But in the same way that it is a everyday supercar. So this has useful front and rear trunks. You can use them. It's surprisingly comfortable. It is easy to drive. And then it's also a fantastic performance machine. And that way it reminds me more of that NSX than a Corvette. But what doesn't remind me of an NSX and does remind me of a Corvette is this.
good. That's really good.
Well, the interior of this new Vet is kind of not only a radical departure from the old Corvette and every one before it, thank God, but it is a departure from everything on the road, and that's really cool. Like, this is a mid-engine supercar, and mid-engine supercars should be just a little weird, a little bonkers, special. It should be an event when you get in. This great big border here in the car with all your climate buttons, they work fine. I like buttons. I don't want to go into a screen, especially when you are driving a mid-engine sports car. You're focusing on driving. If you want the cooled seat turned up, well, press a button. So going around here, you do have this kind of palm rest that you can control the touchscreen. It's a great feature because if you're in a car that, this is a great ride for a supercar, don't get me wrong, but there is a little more wiggling and jiggling than you would get in an Impala, and by anchoring your hand to it, makes it easier to press things. It also hides the drive mode selector. So right now we're in sport, but if you go to tour, that does correspond to different gauges in the all-digital gauge cluster. 3 different designs, sport, and then track. Now, one of the things about this car is that the rear view is atrocious. You really cannot see anything out of it. You have the giant sail panels over the engine. The view from the regular rear view mirror is just glare off a windshield. So, fitted as standard here is the camera-based rear view mirror system. When I drove this in the Cadillac CT6 for the first time, it kind of startled me. The focal point is different than every mirror you've ever used, and when something's that different from something that you didn't really pay attention to, it can kind of freak you out. But it's kind of a necessity in this car, and it's sure as hell better than looking at, well, a bunch of glare and like a mailbox view. In terms of materials quality, to be generous has not been the Corvette's most positive attribute over the years. This is a vast improvement. It's Alcantara everywhere, you have leather covering the dash, you have yellow stitching, and it's not just some nice materials covering some kind of cheapy plastic. No, they have elevated everything beyond what it was before. Chevy said that if it looks like metal, it is metal.
You're watching the Autoblog Show.
So, here we are on day 2 with the C8 here in verdant Pahrump, Nevada, and the Spring Mountain Motor Resort and Country Club. This, of course, is the C8, and we're on an autocross, kind of a get-to-know-you laps for this car, which we will be later taking onto the big track here. And frankly, around an autocross is just kind of child's play for quite a serious performance machine that this car is. Now, this orange car does not have the magnetically controlled suspension on it, the 4th version of GM's MagRide. That car does have it. So we'll see the differences between the two. Brakes work. Okay, so we are doing the launch control. What you do to engage it is you put it into track mode and then you press the traction control button twice, and then it's engaged. It's in competition mode, and you don't have to reset it every single time. So you put your left foot on the brake all the way down, and then you build your revs up to about 3,600 RPM. Let it sit there for a while, lift off, and bam, away we go. Okay, so I've just done our hot laps in the C8. Now we're just kind of doing a cool down lap. Let's go over a couple of things. The engine and transmission. It is a little interesting driving a mid-engine car with, these days, that isn't turbocharged and isn't some high revving Porsche engine, really. So having a V8 does make it inherently different. So smooth. You don't have to shift a lot. But I did notice in automatic mode, it could downshift at kind of weird times, whereas PDK or say a Mercedes AMG transmission, it knows exactly when to do it, and there were times in this when I thought I could override it. Let's talk about steering. Specifically the steering wheel, it does have this weirdly 3.5, 8.5 steering position, and after a couple of laps, my wrist started to hurt. I'm not really a fan of it in retrospect. The steering itself is very good. I like that it's very consistent in its effort, very linear. The weight is really spot on, not too heavy, not overly light, really well done. Is it as, say, talkative as a Porsche Cayman GT4? No, but that's a pretty high bar. The balance of this car, speaking of a Cayman, I mean, it is a mid-engine car. You absolutely feel the car rotating around you. Is very easy. On a long corner, just hold your steering angle and steer with the throttle, exactly what you want. Didn't really have any moments out there. Kind of speaks to how much weight is down on the back end. If you are tall like me or anywhere close to as tall as me, you're going to struggle to fit with a helmet on. I was sitting really far forward in order to not hit the roof and the header back there. So let's talk about brakes. Multiple laps, stayed nice and firm. The other thing is I really like the positioning of it. It is very friendly for left foot braking, which if you're going to have an automatic car on a racetrack, left foot braking is exactly what you want to do. You're going to go faster. So good job, Corvette, in that. The seats, they hold you in place, and these are the base seats that I was driving, so they still have adjustable bolsters, but they're not pinchy in the butt like the competition ones. So you're absolutely fine sticking with the base seats, even if you are going to be going on a racetrack. It's very easy to place the car. You know exactly where the road is. You don't, unlike the old Corvette, you don't have a million miles of engine in front of you. So in general, as a track car, just the regular Corvette, and we know there's going to be more powerful versions coming, but the regular Corvette Stingray with the Z51 package is quite the easy car to drive, very fast, it's rewarding, it sounds cool. If you're looking for a car that is a performance bargain, yeah, more so than ever.
You're now watching the Autoblog Show.
I'm gonna shut up and let the GT do the talking. Up to Angeles Crest Highway, the mountains above Los Angeles, and we're driving a Ford GT, the limited production supercar that I'm sure you're aware is completely sold out. We're in the softest mode right now. We're in normal with the comfort setting on for the suspension. Very relaxed situation for the GT to be in, and just listen to how much noise we're getting. Just driving it normally. I'm going 50 miles an hour. We're just having a Sunday cruise and letting the transmission shift for itself, and boy, it sounds wild. It's not just one thing. It's not solely exhaust or induction noise. There's dual clutch gearbox crackle and grind. there's turbo whistle, there's the carbon fiber chassis sort of shaking over bumps. You can't forget for 1 single second that you're in what is essentially a race car dialed down very slightly for street use. Okay, we're in sport mode now. I'm just gonna open it up and let you hear what it sounds like. Oh, the brakes are just so powerful. It's so stable under braking, it's unbelievable. And they're not grabby when they're cold. I mean, I haven't really been using them. Oh. Despite the car being so wide and so powerful and its limits are so high, narrow, twisty little road like that didn't really hold the car back. We still had plenty of fun, you know, hitting it as hard as was prudent. So I think that really speaks to this car's entertainment versatility, I guess you could say. It's remarkably entertaining on a lot of different types of roads, and that's not something you get with a lot of supercars. A lot of supercars thrive on the track, and on a regular twisty little road, they feel like they're crawling. That really speaks to the GT's versatility. Although that being said, where this car comes alive, clearly, we're not on the track today, but everything about this car says, I want to be on the track. After driving this car all day up here in Angeles Crest, I have to say there's a couple things that really surprised me about it. For one, I wasn't expecting a car with this much motorsport DNA to be this versatile on these public roads. And actually, the GT is kind of a sweetheart. The other thing is the way it sounds. The soundtrack here is 100% motorsport. It's mechanical, it's raw, it's not really pleasing sounds, but something about the way it works together when you just rev the heck out of it, I couldn't get enough of it. I don't want to stop driving this car.
Autoblog is the complete source of breaking car news, in-depth reviews, exciting videos on all the hottest cars. If you're in the market for a new ride, shop our thousands of listings, or use our car finder to discover your perfect match. Visit Autoblog today.
Next up, after more than 2 decades, the Toyota Supra is back on American roads. Check it out with road test editor Zach Palmer.
Hey man,
What's
I
up?
heard we have a Supra.
We do have a Supra, actually. I'm super excited. Supra.
There it is.
I still haven't seen one of these on the street in public. Anything
No, I haven't
before.
either.
This is my first time laying eyes on it outside of the auto show floor. I don't think that any of these wheels were.
What's that?
I don't think that any of the wheels had this much chrome on them. On the ones that I saw in Detroit or in Chicago. I don't think they actually had it in New York, but jeez.
Man, this looks good.
I love the way this thing looks. This design is like all Japanese.
Yeah.
All Toyota. It's everything else that's underneath, and underneath this very good looking hood that is also BMW.
All right, next question.
Next question.
Want to get inside?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
It's locked. Ugh. Should we turn it on?
Yeah, we should.
Why not? Look at that. No, that's like one of the differences right there in this interior between the Supra and the BMWs of yours. They actually gave it its own little gauge cluster here. I like it too. Has a giant tack right in the center. That's exactly what I want in a sports car.
You quickly read it. No manual.
Yep. Obviously,
Yep.
no manual transmission here at
No.
all.
I hope you can tell the difference between that and a leaf blower in the background. What do you think of it so far?
I think it's beautiful. What is this red called? Do you know?
Renaissance Red.
Renaissance red?
Yeah.
I don't love this steering wheel. Why am I getting a flat bottom steering wheel
So,
on this thing?
Palmer said the same thing. He doesn't like the feel of it. It's a little too round for him.
It's a little too round. I like this. I like a thinner steering wheel, but it's got this thicker bit right here.
This gauge though, that is beautiful.
Those numbers are really
Perfect.
nice.
You hitting your head?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Can you lower
Let
it?
me get out. Oh, I just knocked myself right out. Can't get out because I got knocked out.
What's it cost? Yeah, I'm gonna say 65.
You're high.
48.
56.
Okay.
It's $53,990 with standard equipment, and then we've got the driver assist package, which adds $1,195 for a grand total of $56,140.
Sold. Palmer, can we please go for a quick spin now?
You don't really have to ask me that question. We're gonna do it.
Yes.
I mean, so far it's a super enclosed space. You know, it feels like a sports car inside here. You know, all the driving controls feel correct and where they're supposed to be. I like the pedal placement. I like the relationship between, you know, my legs and my body and what I'm actually looking at. You know, I'm not sitting upright. I feel like I'm sitting, you know, more horizontal in this car than most. The transmission shifts super quickly when you just daily driving, gets it into a higher gear. I'm definitely gonna drive sport on the way back. So sport mode. All right. I just felt the steering get much stiffer. Oh man. Pop her into manual. That is a good crackling sound. I will admit that the crackling does sound similar to other BMWs that I've driven, but that's not a complaint. It sounds really, really good. That is an instantaneous shift.
Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Autoblog Show. For a lot more of our content, check us out at Autoblog.com, where you can find the latest reviews and news on all of your favorite cars.